Biodiversity, an incredibly broad concept, defined as the existence of a wide range of plant and animal species living in their natural environment. Biodiversity can be defined at many levels, from the genome to the individual species, and from any particular biological community to an entire ecosystem. Our biological world has naturally evolved to be complex and interlinked, a system in which each living organism is supported by the life around it. Much like all life on Earth, as humans, we depend on natural biodiversity to support our everyday lives. It is perhaps easy to forget the importance of biodiversity, especially in a modern context, where our busy lives can leave us detached from the biological world. For some people, biodiversity may be a strange idea, one that has little consequence to everyday life. Here, at the University of Aberdeen, we are interested to know how biodiversity has been portrayed and understood across disciplines, and have gone out to interview some students to find out what they know about biodiversity. We asked the students, do you know what biodiversity is? What does biodiversity mean to you? And do you think biodiversity is important?
My name is Morris and I study zoology.
My name is Minna Berglund and I'm a fourth year finance and management student.
My name is Annette BSA and I do law.
Do you know what biodiversity is?
I think I do.
The variety of all organisms in the environment, or yeah.
Not really, no. Not even gonna lie.
Okay.
Biodiversity means a lot to me. It's just really important and it really drives the world and everything that's in the world. Yeah, I'd definitely say it's definitely very important. I mean, without it, we wouldn't have a lot of the species and a lot of nature. We wouldn't really have nature without it.
Yes, I think it's important because it makes the ecosystem work. It makes, depending on the environment and the climate, it's important for our world to function.
I'm sure it is, if I know more about it.
So, biodiversity, even if not fully understood, is at least recognised to be important. The air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat rely on biodiversity. With specific examples, we can see how a diverse biological system provides biological resources and ecosystem services. These services can be of a provisionary, regulatory, supporting, or cultural nature. In addition to providing clean water and air, biodiversity provides us with nutritious, disease-resistant food sources and diverse genetics that allow the selective breeding of organisms for our use. The incorporation of plant species into urban environments regulates air quality by absorbing and recycling air pollution. Diverse pollination, valued at £690 million a year in the UK, supports a wide range of food sources such as fruits and nuts. Biodiversity also provides us with research, education, recreation and tourism. These ecosystem services are crucial, and the help provided by our diverse biology irreplaceable. One of the areas in which biodiversity may be most underappreciated is that of the design of new medicines harvested from nature. We spoke to Professor Marcel Jaspers at the University of Aberdeen about his work in drug discovery and asked him how biodiversity is crucial to him and crucial in a wider context.
My name is Marcel Jaspers. I'm Professor of Chemistry and Director of the Marine Biodiscovery Centre. What we try to do is to discover new drugs for different types of diseases based on materials from marine invertebrates such as sponges, soft corals, sea squirts, and also from deep sea bacteria and fungi. An example of what we've done in the recent past is the use of fungus from tropical climate, but all the way from the discovery of the molecule to the testing in zebrafish to the testing in animals to show that in fact this molecule is drug-like and useful for the treatment of drug-resistant epilepsy in animals, and hopefully take it to the next stage, which is to try and use it in human clinical trials. So why is biodiversity important? Without all those different types of biodiversity and the whole of the sort of Earth systems, we probably wouldn't be alive so much on biodiversity for basic aspects of life, from fertilization of plants to produce crops like apples and fruits. But on the other side, it also means that discovery of new chemicals that we need for new drug for new drugs will be hampered if we don't have the biodiversity that's essential. So we rely heavily on looking at new biodiversity. So initially we relied heavily on looking at invertebrates such as sea squirts and soft corals and sponges. And when we found new species, we often found new chemistry that translated into new biology and new activity in tests. And that led then to the discovery of potential drugs. For the microbial biodiversity, it's even more essential that we maintain healthy ecosystems in order to be able to get those new and interesting bacteria that contain the products that we want for drug discovery.
It is clear that biodiversity is crucial to humanity. We spoke to the students that we had interviewed earlier about biodiversity and highlighted some of the important things that we all rely on to see if this influenced their thoughts on the subject.
Much about how biodiversity provides many things you need, such as food, air, water and clothes you wear and things like that.
I mean, that's quite a shock. I feel like I don't think enough about it, but...
We also know that biodiversity can enable the discovery of key drugs and medicines. Does this change your thoughts on it at all or surprise you?
Yeah, because I would say that it's something more natural. It's something that we don't control ourselves. It's just the environment, how the environment works.
I didn't think medicine had anything to do with nature, to be honest.
Now, how important would you say biodiversity is to you?
Even more important. I mean, before this interview, I was a big fan of biodiversity, but now, I mean, yeah, it's important.
I'd still say that it's very important because that's basically the life of our planet. Yeah, it's without the biodiversity, the system or the planet wouldn't work the way it does today, and it would just be collapsing.
Well, very, because like it's things that I need in my life, like every day. So
Yeah.
I see it as something that needs to be around.
One example of biodiversity with potential uses in medicine and drug discovery is slowly growing here in the Arboretum of Aberdeen's Cruikshank Gardens. This little fungus growing on the stump next to the campsite is Chemisty versicolor, commonly known as the turkey tail fungus. This fungus has been used for centuries in traditional Chinese medicine as an anti-cancer drug, and a meta-analysis in 2012 showed that its supplementary use in chemotherapy increased survival and quality of life in cancer patients. We don't really know how these compounds work or how many potential drugs we can find in other species, which are less studied. When we think about biodiversity, we generally think about animals and plants, when actually most of biodiversity is microbial. This hidden biodiversity has huge potential for new drug discovery and is crucial in ecosystem functioning. For example, this microscopic nematode worm represents the most common animal life form on the planet and remains unseen and unacknowledged by most people. Since we still know rather little about biodiversity, it is very important to study it. Keeping biological collections and archives in museums and botanical gardens is one way. Producing literature inspiring interest in biodiversity and academic research in universities and research facilities is very important in our understanding of biodiversity, as well as its conservation. It is important to conserve biodiversity, since if we let species go extinct, we might lose not only ecosystem functioning, but also novel bioactive molecules or new drugs with them. Although biodiversity is vital for humanity, some people still do not realise just how important it is. We take the value of biodiversity for granted. The 6th mass extinction event has begun due to massive biodiversity losses at the hands of humans. Educating the public and bringing biodiversity into the mainstream could be crucial in preventing this from happening and could have a huge importance for the future of our planet.
Drugs, Nah, mostly drugs. What we
Okay, it kind of looks a bit like someone's shaking it.
Oh, damn.
But you still got it.
What? That really isn't. And look, a ballerina.
Oh, wait,
Oh!
No! Practicing the seagulls.
Shut up.
Shut up!